Alright, so we're going to look at present value now. Now, basically what the present value is it's kind of reversing the question of trying to find interest or how much you get after interest. It's saying, I want an amount in a certain time, a certain later time. How much should I invest now? Okay, so basically in our interest equation, if you remember our interest equation of A is equal to P 1 plus R over M to the MT, the present value is essentially the P. Okay, it's the principal that you put in to get this future value. Alright, so to actually solve these equations, it's fairly straightforward. You're going to start with a setup which comes exactly from the formula that we just looked at. So let's do an example here. We know we can get 5% interest per year, so we're going to compound that yearly. How much would you need to invest now to have $10,000 in 10 years? So basically what you're going to do, again, remember, we are dealing with the A equals P 1 plus R over M to the MT. So $10,000 is the future amount. That's the A. My principal, or present value, is the amount I'm looking for. Now this is 5% interest per year, so it's 1 plus 0.05. You can think of it as divide by 1, or just 1.05. And we're doing this for 10 years. Since it's one time a year for 10 years, the exponent is going to be a 10. Now, by the way, this might look a little bit strange, but from this point out, it's just an algebra problem. Okay, we have P times a number, so P times this number is equal to 10,000. So basically all I have to do is divide by this number. Okay, now it's easier if you just put this in all at once, or at least I think it's easier. Take the 10,000 and put divide by, in parentheses, 1 plus 0.05 to the 10th power, and that becomes your P. Okay, so put that into your calculator. And if you do that, you'll get that the present value, the amount that you need, is $6,139.13. Now, be careful on this, or I shouldn't say be careful. Be careful that you put the right numbers in the right spots. Okay? And we can kind of understand that we should get less because, again, remember, this is the principal we were looking for. So the $6,000 ought to be less than the amount you're getting, or excuse me, less than the amount that it's going to be in 10 years. And that's basically it. So I want you guys to try this next example. And again, push pause and then come back to the example and try to do that. Alright, so we are going to set this up almost exactly the same. Use a black pen this time. A is equal to P 1 plus R over M to the MT. So this is 10% interest compounded yearly. We want to get out $10,000 in the future. That's our A. P we don't know. This is 10% interest compounded yearly, so it's 1 plus 0.10. And we're going to accumulate for 10 years. So again, take 10,000, divide by 1.10 to the 10th power, and that becomes your P. Now, I will say, on this thing, there are people who will want to calculate this number, 1 plus 0.100 to the 10th, and then use a rounding to divide by it. So, in other words, if you calculated it, you would get about 10,000 equals P times, and here's the trick, roughly it comes out to 2.5937. Okay? Be careful, most of the time you do not want to use this number. Okay? Because a lot of times what's going to happen is rounding errors or rounding issues are going to come into play. So, for instance, if we go back to our answer, the actual answer of taking 10,000 divided by 1.10 to the 10th power, we will get 38.55 and 43 cents. All right, and that's the correct answer. However, if you'd have taken 10,000 and divided it by 2.6, so if you'd have, instead of rounding this all that way, if you'd have rounded this to 2.6 and then divided by 2.6, what would have happened is you'd have got 38.4615. So my point is, to get the exact answer, you need to be able to plug this into your calculator. If you were looking to get an approximate answer, well, this one is close, but it's not exact. So my point is, we can round at the end of the problem to 2 decimal places, but don't round in the middle of the problem. Don't try to round this to 2.6 or 2.59. All right, lastly, I want you guys to try this one and see if you can do that. Again, push pause, and I'll come back in a minute. Okay, so the setup, we want to have 200,000 in 30 years. That's my amount. I don't know what I want to put in yet. How much do I invest? That's my principal. I get 5% interest compounded monthly, so I'm dividing by 12. Now, if I have 30 years and compounding monthly, that's an exponent of 360. So to answer my question, you'd take 200,000 divided by 1 plus 0.05 over 12 to the 360th power. And that's what you're going to have to invest. Now again, this is a matter of just typing this in on your calculator. And if you utilize those parentheses buttons, this should be a fairly straightforward type in. So in any case, we get $44,765.32. And that would be the again, the final amount. Or excuse me, the initial amount that you want to invest in order to get $200,000 as your final. Okay? So essentially, present value is working backwards, starting at your amount and finding what you would have had to invest in.